Alright, class, this is your introduction to the Mastery Project. This is the genesis of the Mastery Project. This is my elementary school, Bethesda. This is Wisconsin in the winter. What would happen is my third grade class was over here, and we had something called the ABC project. ABC stood for Above and Beyond the Curriculum. For this project, people from the community would come in and kids would get to do their own project. So some kids did experiments with gerbils, some kids got to computer program on this new Commodore 64 hooked up to a TV screen. And I chose to write a book about a magical ring and a bunch of friends who had to go and find it. And by and large, this was the best experience of my elementary school career and something I've always remembered and wanted to recreate. Sadly, fourth grade, the ABC program was scuttled. The gerbils were given away. The computer was put in a closet, and I was no longer able to write. I didn't create the sequel to that fateful book. Nonetheless, I appreciate the opportunity, and I wanted to recreate it when I became a teacher. Enter the Mastery Project. I was reading this book, Drive, by Daniel Pink. It's about internal motivation and independent learning. After reading this, I wanted to offer my students something that you may not have done in other classes, although this project has become more and more popular since I started it 2012-ish. Anyway, I pick it up, I drop it, but it's back because I think that the conditions of learning are appropriate for this sort of project. So there's three pillars of the project: autonomy, which Daniel Pink describes as the urge to direct our own lives; mastery, also known as continuous improvement, the desire to get better at something that matters; and purpose, the yearning to do what we do in the service of something larger than ourselves. The example Daniel Pink gives is this. Microsoft created this CD-ROM encyclopedia in the 90s called Encarta. They hired a big division there were people working on it, creating the content, essentially recreating the Encyclopedia Britannica on CD-ROM. And he compares that with Wikipedia. So Wikipedia, as you've all used, has tons of content. It's an online encyclopedia, but it depends on people to create the content for free. And so the reason they do that is because individuals want to direct their own lives. They want to get better at something, specifically gaining more knowledge about those topics and then writing about it. And then the purpose is to share that information with others. And so these elements help you to understand why, to gain enjoyment from the work that you're doing. When you take away these things, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, then you have external motivation, you have unhappiness, you have sort of meaninglessness. So I hope that you can cultivate these things as you choose your topics. I got affirmation for the project from Angela Duckworth. Everyone knows about grit from the Grit Coins, but her definition of grit is that talent times effort equals skill, and skill times effort equals achievement. So if you're passionate about what you're doing, you're more likely to work hard, and then you're more likely to succeed. These are past projects, so there's a wide variety of things that people have done. I began with knitting. That was very, very popular. Some odd ones that stand out. The Iberian migration. That student researched a theory about the history of essentially Southern Europe and how the Romans are essentially migrants from the Iberian Peninsula, which is where his ancestors came from. Let's see. Voice acting, that was an interesting one. That was the student used a variety of different voices, recorded them, and found some animation to use. What are some other ones? The Elgar Concerto, that was just someone playing the cello and working on a piece that they needed for an audition. Lucid dreaming is probably one of my favorite ones of all time. This person just worked on lucid dreaming. It was a concept he came across in AP Psychology, and he just worked through it. If you have any questions about these topics, email me and I'll clarify them. All right, so these are some reflections in the past. Obviously, I chose the positive ones. If you want to pause and read these, you can. I'm just going to go through them quick. I'm just going to go through. So this one was filmmaking. Obviously, they liked it. Zombies. For zombies, they made actually a board game. They researched zombies and then created a board game. Bass guitar. So this was learning how to play the bass guitar. And juggling. Playing the mandolin. Musical instruments are often popular. The most popular by far has been the ukulele. Memorizing pi. That pi on the font's a little weird, but a lot of students started memorizing pi in elementary school, and they picked it up with the mastery project. All right, here are the parameters. Today is April 15th, the Ides of April, so you have till roughly May 13th. There's more school, but I didn't think anyone would want to go beyond that. If you do, I guess we have until the last day of school. So 1 day a week you should devote to the mastery project. Not the whole day, just 1 or 2 hours, just 1 day where you set aside working on this. Keep a journal of what you do. Then there'll be a midterm report, essentially the end of April, beginning of May, check in. Then at the end, I'll have sign-ups for presentations, and at that point, you'll hand in your journal with a short reflection. The journal does not have to be super detailed or formal. Essentially, you're just recording what you're doing so you understand autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So here's a concrete example. A student wanted to do baking. So how do you show autonomy, purpose, and mastery when it comes to baking? Well, for autonomy, I chose baking because I've always wanted to try, but I never felt like I had the time. So autonomy just means you direct it yourself. No one said bake and you get 100 for something that I really like and it's aesthetically, visually pleasing. You get 85 if it tastes good but doesn't look good. You get 75 if it looks good, or it looks bad and tastes bad. Purpose. Baking is a useful skill to have after I move out and live on my own, so you can improve your own mood and the mood of others. And then mastery. Where were you when you started the project? The student could bake cookies from the tube that you get in the dairy section of the store, and they're working towards following full recipes for chocolate. That should be chocolate chip cookies, and progressing to other baking recipes. So hopefully that clarifies things. That's the end of the slideshow, and email me with questions. Thanks.